Welcome, Minister. It's good to see you again. Minister, we've heard from witnesses over and over again at numerous Senate committees in the context of different bills and studies that Indigenous communities are not being consulted in a meaningful way. And in some cases, they're not being consulted at all. There's really some serious concerns about the consultation process and how it's undertaken by government departments. I'd like to ask your view about what should meaningful consultation specifically entail, and more importantly, how can the Government of Canada ensure meaningful consultation with Indigenous communities?
Yes.
Thank you, Senator White, and really good to see you again, and I even got the name right this time. But let me just thank you, first of all, for the question. We're using a number of terms, I think, sometimes interchangeably, sometimes without context. I think the notion of consultation, what that means, especially in a post, or UNDRIP implementation era, I think has very specific meaning. I don't think the consistency is there. I think there are inconsistencies in the way that that we define what consultation means. So I will concede that there are disparities in the manner consultations are taking place. But we are trying to have a much more of a uniform sense of what that looks like. Generally speaking, if it involves Indigenous people in general, it should be distinction-based, it should be regional, there should be components that if it involves a particular area of the country that there are, especially people from the area, are consulted. This is very much the case for any of the resource projects that take place and so on. The second aspect is co-development, and you would have heard this term on a number of occasions. What does co-development mean? Well, co-development for C-51 would be very different than co-development for something like water legislation, C-61, which is, really co-development with many First Nations across Canada. Again, it's impossible to have everyone as part of the co-development process. So
Merci, Monsieur le Ministre. Senator White.
Thank you, Senator. Minister.
Speak to why this is such a challenge. Like, has your department been able to identify, what the main barriers are to effective implementation?
I think we're getting better at it. I think what I can confirm is that we're getting better at it. We're getting better at what co-development looks like. So to speak to, say, for example, when we did the Indigenous languages legislation, or C-92, which is child welfare, that was the first iteration of what co-development looks like, which is vastly different from what you see now in some of the legislation that are coming through, which are, much more co-developed, because we're getting better at this, and we're also learning from, previous iterations. I think we're getting to a better place, and my assurance is that it is something we're very alive to, and always conscious that, who is being consulted.